You know, sometimes when you have a guest on the program and you just get into your conversation in the midst of the commercial break, that you have to be reminded that there is a television program to put on, and that is what we're about to do now. I am excited to speak with a fellow who I've known since, geez, almost my very first days here in Park City. So it is always a pleasure to welcome him back and have a chat and, of course, talk about his work, which is well and definitely put together in his nickname, the Recruiter Guy. This is Bill Humbert. Good morning, sir. How are you?
Terry, I'm
great to see you, buddy.
Great to see you, too.
I know. It's always unexpected when I show up for the morning show.
Well, not just the morning show, when you're out on the street for the parades and things.
Of course,
so,
of course.
Yeah, so it's so much fun to see you again.
Nice to see you. I like this phrase, and let's get right into it, because I like talent acquisition strategy. And as you say in your notes, and I'm sure you speak a great deal too in your latest book, that even if you don't think you have a strategy, that's actually a poor strategy. It's a strategy, a poor one, but it is a strategy that, oh, we're completely disorganized, we're not looking, we're just trying to fill what I'm sure this is your everyday. I'm just trying to get this one position filled, and then we'll be okay, except for the 10, the 20, the 30 strategies for positions on into the future as you continue to try and grow your business, and human capital, so very important.
That's right. You know, talent acquisition strategy development is a plan to create your whole system, your whole process. And so it's not just kind of like what you pointed out, well, we'll just get this position filled and we're good, because it never works that way.
Right.
It never works. I went and visited with a company down in Salt Lake City, and this was in October several years ago, and the recruiting manager said, we blew our budget in June. And I went, that's not a good thing.
That's really bad news. Wow.
It's not a good thing, you know, and you hear people say, I want to be a human resource business professional. That's not being a human resource business professional.
Right, right. There's nothing professional about not adhering to your budget in the first 5 months of the year.
That's right. So there's, if you follow the sales process, that's a recruiting process, what happens? Now you've got an outline for you to build your strategy. And that's where most companies have a problem. They don't know where to build their strategy from. So that gives you that outline. The other problem is a lot of companies don't know they're in a sales process.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so, you know, it's really important for that person to sit down with a CFO, if there is one in the company. If it's the owner of the company, if it's a small store on Main Street, it could be, hey, our recruiting strategy is simple. We put a help wanted sign up. Right. That works. That's great. But, you know, a larger company needs to know what it is they're looking for and how much that salary is going to be, and they have to pay for relocation. So you get all of that planned at the beginning.
And you make a really great point, and another thing that I was excited to talk about, and I think of hidden costs to this kind of a process as the big category, but then you have hard costs, but you also have hidden costs that are non-monetary, but certainly still figure in to the calculation of how effectively you're performing your strategy. And of course, one of the things I think of is time, because if you know going into a year, a quarter, that you have a really key spot that you're going to need to fill, as opposed to being that reactive, oh, we weren't keeping an eye on the situation and we lost somebody in a key position. There are so many costs. Talk about how you kind of keep I guess an inventory of the ways in which you're expending your company's resources.
You know, it's important to always look at your recruiting process, do process improvement, know where your shortfalls are, know where you can improve those, and then understand that everything costs something. It's going to cost you time, or it's going to cost you money.
Right.
It's going to cost you something.
Yeah.
And so you need to allocate that and look at your staff. Is your staff going to be able to recruit a vice president of engineering?
Right.
Or is your staff going to be able to help recruiting 200 people for a new manufacturing plant?
Right.
And if you know that those are on the horizon, then you have to make plans. You know, do we need third-party help? Do we need contingent recruiters, contract recruiters? What are we going to use for sourcing? Job boards are really nothing more than, and this is something I like to do, posting.
And pray.
I hope the right people see my post.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, and that was, you're perfectly leading into my next thought and my next question, which is that in the year 2018, and even just in the period of time that you and I have known each other, data transfer, information exchange it's so much different than it used to be, and I see more and more types of communications, and sales is an easy example. People selling things on Instagram. And I'm sure that to a certain extent, nobody associated with the development of the Instagram application was thinking we're going to be a marketplace for vintage clothes or something like that.
Right.
What has your experience been? Obviously, job boards still very, very important for people, but also I think about how LinkedIn is used differently nowadays. Talk about your experience being on the front line of seeing those kinds of changes.
So the problem with job boards is that it goes back to the posting and praying. However, they can be an important source of knowledge for candidates of what's available. And then they network in. And that's what a lot of that book's about. So it's important for them, for the candidate, to understand that networking fills about 74 to 76% of all jobs. Now,
Right.
a lot of human resource people don't understand that because they say, well, it just came out of our applicant tracking system. Well, how do you think it got in there?
Right.
Somebody
Right.
inside the company said, well, our first step is to apply online. I'll grab that resume and I'll take it to the hiring manager.
Right.
So that can be part of your recruiting strategy, is to find out what I do. I find out what companies are looking for the kind of people I'm looking for. That means they're now targets.
Right, right. It works in both directions.
Right.
Fantastic.
Right. So the strategy is something that you create so that when you need people, now you know where to go after them and how you're going to go after them. LinkedIn is a great source of people. And too many companies spend whatever it is that LinkedIn wants to charge for LinkedIn Recruiter just to post positions. I like to just go after them.
Sure. Sure, and that information is there, and again, that transparency as a result of technology it's crazy
amazing.
How much it has changed. What's the next big thing on the horizon for you? Is there another sort of a new player or a new technology coming, or is it just about people like you say, networking and staying really good at those skill sets like a job applicant should?
You know, it's funny. I don't know what the next big thing is, but I know technology is, somebody out there is working on something that's just going to be amazing.
Yeah.
However, the end of the day, you go back to the fundamentals, just like baseball.
Yeah, well
is your
said.
swing right? Well, if you've got the fundamentals done right, then everything will follow just perfectly.
Fantastic stuff. So we better do online access so folks can get a hold of not only this tome that I'm holding right here, but you are a guy who's got a great deal of writing out there. You're a super active guy. Tell folks where they can follow along with you and get the library of Bill Humbert titles.
Thank you. Well, recruiterguide.com is under a serious remodel right now.
Oh, great.
But it's still there. And so they can go there, and I'm also on LinkedIn, so you can look me up on LinkedIn. You want to connect with me, that's a great way of connecting.
Fantastic stuff. Well, it's always a pleasure to see you. We appreciate the continuing wisdom that you have, because even for those of us like myself who, after many years of doing a lot of different things, have really settled into something that I love and a place that I love. But as you point out, more and more folks are mobile in their work lives, in their careers, and we appreciate not only to see you, but also the important, valuable work that you do on behalf of both sides of the recruiting equation. Great
Thank
to
you,
see
Tim. Jerry.
Bill.
Yeah, great to see you.
Bill Humbert, recruiterguy.com. Go get this and all of his fantastic writing. The guy works hard. He looks like he's having a nice time here in Park City, but underneath the surface, there are always some swimming going on. Bill Humbert. Quick break. We'll be back with more right after this. Please stay tuned.